Another edition of Riding Home. This time, Legge and Matt DeBary. We're in New Orleans, and LSU's just clobbered. Has just clobbered. I can't remember who they played. Oklahoma. That was a really bad look for OU. But as this Sugar Bowl gets ready to roll here in a few days, Georgia's losing players left and right. What's going on here?
Well, you just wrote about it, and so if you want to know more details, make sure you're on Dawg Post to read that article. But as expected, Andrew Thomas not playing, probably a top 10, maybe top 5 NFL draft pick. Isaiah Wilson is not going to play. He wants to try to sneak into that first round. Regardless, he's not playing either. Then you have Ben Cleveland, what seems to be a great issue. He's not playing. And then senior J.R. Reed, who I guess has a minor injury. That's what he put out there. Yeah. He's not going to play in his final game as a Bulldog either. We saw it last year. A lot of guys sat out. They weren't in the same team. Had to play a lot of newcomers. And it appears that Georgia might be in the same position. This year they're going to have Warren Erickson out there at guard, I believe, at right guard. Trey Hill at center, Cade Mays at left tackle, Jamari Sawyer at right tackle. So, especially on the offensive line, they've switched it around a good bit. So, it'll be interesting to see how that group holds up against a really good Baylor defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, Jamari today talked about how much of a challenge it was going to be and how he was looking forward to it and the offensive line was looking forward to it. But, I guess the thing to me is, you don't have Dominique Blaylock because of injury. You may or may not have DeAndre because of injury. I mean, after a while, it's just like, is this the team you expected to see here? And the answer is no. But guys, this is their own prerogative. I'm not judging. I don't think you're judging about what they do. But there at some point has to be an acknowledgement that, hey, this is not the same bunch that we would see if they were playing in a playoff game. And not only that, I think the other question becomes, why are the guys not playing? If you do, I mean, it's totally up to every single person. But is the explanation always only about money? I mean, what is the difference between Derek Brown's decision to stay an extra year and then to play in the Outback Bowl? And you're not playing in the Sugar Bowl. I get it not playing, but over time, this seems like the same thing we saw a year ago. Georgia needs to win this game, and Kirby needs to make sure of it. That's my perspective on it.
If you're Derek Brown, Auburn's season ended when they lost to Georgia. I think that's when. So their season's been done for a while, and I get why Andrew Thomas is leaving, and I would totally understand if DeAndre Swift, who is up in the air, it looks like he's going to play. If DeAndre Swift is playing in the Sugar Bowl, J.R. Reed should too, unless that injury is worse than we expected. But that's just my take on it. I don't expect DeAndre Swift to play. I'd be surprised if he did.
I think he is. I think he will play, but I don't think
he's a little banged up too. He's not going to play a lot, even.
I don't think he's going to play a lot. I think DeAndre will play, but how are fans supposed to deal with this after a while? I mean, what is really the explanation? I mean, what is the expectation for fans to have to deal with? Traveling to New Orleans, spending time away from home, money, emotion, etc. I mean, we're in the holidays here. I mean, this is a time where most people kind of kick back and chill out. But
the team let down the fans at this same Sugar Bowl last year against a quality opponent, historically a quality opponent in Texas. And then you've got Baylor coming in, who, again, they couldn't be more excited to play in this game against Georgia. Georgia comes in, bad loss against LSU, not playing a ton of their guys. It has very much the same type of feel, minus the Justin Fields saga that we had this time
that's
last
one
year.
Thing I was saying on the way down here is, the one difference was that, Justin, that was the whole fiasco last year.
That was just looming over everything.
By the way, we talked with Jake Fromm today, which was
an
interesting interview, needless to say. But he played terribly last year.
Yeah.
And
if you didn't know it last year, he knew today that he played terrible.
Well, I mean, he played terrible last year. He knew he played terrible last year, but he has played a hell of a lot better this year, particularly as the season has gone on.
And he talked with some confidence too.
He did. I mean, he's been punting the shit out of the ball, so I get it.
Leg strength has never been the issue with him. No. But we got to talk to Cade Mays today and Jamari Sawyer. They're not missing any meals. Those are two big dudes. I covered Jamari all through high school, and he was huge then, but he's transformed his body. I'm excited to see what he does at tackle.
If these guys, the truth is that Georgia's still going to be the more talented team, but there are questions coming into this thing we just don't know the answer to. Is this Jake's last game at Georgia? Is DeAndre playing? Is this offensive line is full of 5-star kids. Still, the replacements are 5 stars. Are they going to be as good as what we've seen in the past? Because this offensive line was not unreal. How many captains does Clemson have? They got 6 guys coming out here for this coin toss.
This is about 10 minutes before Clemson and Ohio State kick off.
But you've got all of these kids who have been highly recruited. Sign, excuse me. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are going to play in this game. And frankly, Zamir's got to step up. Probably Kenny McIntosh is going to have to step up. Brian Herring misses this game. I mean, like, if this were what I think most people are worried about and concerned about, and rightfully so, is if Georgia were playing in a semifinal game, which is hardly a stretch considering these last 3 years, those guys wouldn't be playing in the game. That's a problem.
They
would not be. I mean, Brian Herring would not be. Ben Cleveland would not be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that would not be playing in this game.
Yeah. And that can't happen, and you see it this time every year with every team. But Ben Cleveland's been in the program now for 4 years. There's no excuse for him to have these type of concerns, especially when they really could have used him. Instead of Ben Cleveland out there at right guard, who's played there for 4 years now,
and he's playing
got to put Warren Erickson back there, and we'll see how that goes. It'll be his first start. Georgia's not going to go away from what got him here, and that's running the football over and over. So they're going to have to play well on the offensive line if they're going to move the football, which is something they've struggled to do at times this year.
Jake Fromm everybody needs to play better.
Yeah.
But let's not act like this is going to be challenging for Georgia's offense. The line for this game has almost been cut in half now because of this many defections at Georgia, and I understand it from the bettor's perspective, but Georgia does have something to prove in this game, and if they go out and lose it, and there's just nothing to be gained from that.
Baylor is obviously not as talented as Georgia, but you still don't see any of their guys sitting out this game or for whatever reason it is. But Georgia is missing a lot of guys for the second straight Sugar Bowl.
That's a lot of Ohio State fans.
It looks like it's all like 75% out there in Arizona.
They have great fans, no doubt about that. Georgia has great fans too. I just don't know how long you can really ask them to spend the money, time, and emotion. I mean, this team's got something to prove to me. I'll say that.
And you think there's going to be way more Baylor fans?
Oh, I do.
For a lot of reasons, yeah.
I do, because this is like I don't know the last time Baylor's played in a game this big. I guess they played in the Fiesta Bowl not that long ago. But
this is one of the biggest games in school history.
Because I think they played UCF in that game. This is a brand name for Baylor to deal with. And Georgia's
not too far away. They're going to bring people.
Oh, it's right next door. Georgia needs to become the bully again. They need to figure all that out. We'll talk more tomorrow about Matt Luke and so forth. We'll have interviews with kids. Stay tuned to Dawg Post. Make sure you listen to Jamari talk about Matt Luke and his appearance. He had not heard of him before. Or was that Cade?
It was
Cade.
Well, Jamari said that he never really considered Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He said, no offense, never really considered Ole Miss. And then Cade Mays just said he doesn't keep up with that stuff. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know he was the head coach at Ole Miss. So lots of good stuff. Those were both really good interviews. And then you can watch the one with Jake Camarda, too, if you want to do that.
All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow on Dawg Post.